Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavalabha Girivardhari Gopi Janavalabha Girivardhari Yashoda Nandana Bhaja Janaranjana Yashoda Nandana Bhaja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Baba Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavalabha Girivardhari Gopi Janavalabha Girivardhari Yashoda Nandana Bhaja Janaranjana Yashoda Nandana Bhaja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavalabha Gopi Janavalabha Girivardhari Yashoda Nandana Braja Janaranjana Yashoda Nandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shivasari Gaur Bhaktavinda Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shivasari Gaur Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jayan Vishnupad, Paramahansa Parivajrakacharya, Strata Strata, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada Ki, Prantaraj, Srimad Bhagavatam Ki, Nitai Gaura Pramanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay, today we're reading even, from Canto 3, Chapter 9, Text number 3. Nata param paramaya bhavata svarupam. Ananda matram avikalpam avidakvacha. Pashyami vishvasvijam ekam vishvam atman. Pasyami vishvasvijam ekam atman. Bhutendriyatmika madasta upashritosmi. This is a Brahma Samhita Mita. It's a little tricky, but Nata param paramaya bhavata swarupam. Ananda matram avikalpam avidavacha. Pasyami vishvasvijamekam avishvanetmani. Atmam, Atmam. Bhutenjayatnikamadas tu upasritosmi. Na, do not. Ataparam, hereafter. Parama, O Supreme. Yat, that which. Bhavataha, of your Lordship. Svarupam, eternal form. Ananda Matram, impersonal Brahman effulgence. Avikalpam, without changes. Avidha Vachaha, without deterioration of potency. Pashyami, do I see. Vishvashrijam, creator of the cosmic manifestation. Ekam, one without a second. Avishvam, and yet not of matter. Atman, O Supreme Cause. Bhuta, body. Indriya, senses. Atmaka, on such identification. Madha, pride. Te, unto you. Upashritaha, surrendered. Asmi, I am. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada Ki. O my Lord, I do not see a form superior to your present form of eternal bliss and knowledge. In your impersonal Brahman effulgence, in the spiritual sky, there is no occasional change and no deterioration of internal potency. I surrender unto you, because whereas I am proud of my material body and senses, your Lordship is the cause of the cosmic manifestation, and yet you are untouched by matter. Please repeat. O my Lord, I do not see a form superior to yours. Present form of eternal bliss and knowledge. In your impersonal Brahman effulgence in the spiritual sky, there is no occasional change and no deterioration of internal potency. I surrender unto you, because whereas I am proud of my material body and senses, your Lordship is the cause of the cosmic manifestation, and yet you are untouched by matter. Purport. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita, 1855, Bhaktyamam abhijanati yavan chasmi tatvataha. The Supreme Personality of Godhead can only be partially known, and only by the process of devotional service to the Lord. Lord Brahma became aware that the Supreme Lord Krishna has many, many eternal blissful forms of knowledge. He has described such expansions of the Supreme Lord Govinda in his Brahma Samhita as follows. Advaitam achutam anandim anantarupam Ajam Purana Purusham Nava Yovanam Cha Vede Sudulabam Adulabam Atmabhakto Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who is non-dual and infallible. He is the original cause of all causes, even though he expands in many, many forms. Although he is the oldest personality, he is ever youthful, unaffected by old age. The Supreme Personality of Godhead cannot be known by the academic wisdom of the Vedas. One has to approach the devotee of the Lord to understand him. The only way to understand the Lord as He is by devotional service to the Lord, or by approaching the devotee of the Lord who always has the Lord in his heart. By devotional perfection, one can understand that the impersonal Brahmajyoti is only a partial representation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna, and that the three Purusha expansions in the material creation are His plenary portions. In the spiritual sky of the Brahmajyoti, there is no change of various kalpas or millenniums, and there are no creative activities in the Vaikuntha wells. The influence of time is inconspicuous by its absence. The rays of the transcendental body of the Lord are the unlimited Brahmajyoti are undeterred by the influence of material energy. In the material world also, the initial creator is the Lord Himself. He brings about the creation of Brahma, who becomes the subsequent creator, empowered by the Lord. So these are the prayers of Lord Brahma. In the previous chapter, he was manifested by Garbhodakashayi Vishnu. We all know the lotus comes from the navel of Garbhodakashayi Vishnu and then extends up to the higher realms within the universe. And then Lord Brahma, one of his names is Aja, means unborn, but he's not born as we are born. He's born from the navel of Lord Vishnu. And after taking his birth in this way, he was somewhat bewildered about how he got there, what his business of being here is, and how he should go about doing what needs to be done. So he began to search and look for the source of his creation. So in the previous chapter you would have read that he went down into the stem of the lotus, but he still wasn't able to trace out the source of where he's born from. So he came back to the lotus and he began his meditation. And during that meditation, he was given an instruction to perform tapasya. So he began also doing his austerities, and through this process of meditation and austerities, Lord Krishna from within the heart endowed him with the understanding of the Vedas through the feature of the super soul in the heart. Krishna imbued this knowledge to Lord Brahma to be able to do his duty, which is the secondary creator. So now, in this chapter, we hear the prayers of Lord Brahma in this he's very ecstatic at this point because he's just seen this form of Garbhodakashayi Vishnu, and he's describing it. He says, "There's no form that is superior to this form that I'm seeing now." So he's seeing this superior form of Lord Vishnu, and he's very ecstatic, and he's starting to glorify Krishna, or Lord Vishnu in this instance. But as we'll keep reading through the chapter, his mood changes because he realizes the gravity of what he has to do now. He's been given this duty to, like as a cook, when a cook comes into the kitchen, if he's lucky enough, he may have someone who's done some preparation for him. Generally not, but sometimes you get lucky. So, there's all the spices there, there's the ghee there, the vegetables are chopped up, ready to go. So, in one sense, the cooking process has started to some degree, but then the cook comes in and he utilizes his skills and talents to finish it off, to make it something edible and of course able to be offered to Krishna on the altar. So in the same way, the original creation takes place through Karana Dakashay Vishnu, and then we have Garbhodakashay Vishnu enters into each universe. So there's a beginning stage of the creation which is done by Krishna himself. He gives all the ingredients, he gives everything that's needed for Lord Brahma to cook, to create the secondary manifestation which we see in this world today. All the different species and plants and rivers and mountains and demigods and you name it, he has a hand in that part of the creation. So Lord Brahma, he's realizing the gravity of his service that he has to do. You can just kind of think about sometimes how we get given some service and we're just like, wow, I don't know if I can do that. It's a bit too much. Lord Brahma, he creates everything within the universe. So, as he says in the end of this verse, he has a tendency to become proud because of, he is the secondary creator. So this tendency can creep in. So here, Lord Brahma is seeing Garbhodakashay Vishnu. Or can anyone remember of another case where Lord Brahma got to see, he's seen Krishna in this case, and he was a little bewildered and proud in that situation. Can anyone think of that particular pastime? There was stealing the cows. Yeah. So Lord Brahma was seeing Krishna playing with all his friends and playing with the cows down by the Yamuna in Vrindavan, and he was thinking, "It's like, who is this little boy? They say this is a supreme personality of Godhead, and he's just a little boy. Who is he?" So he decided to play a trick on Krishna. So he came down and he stole all the calves and the cowherd boys, and he put them into a slumber, and he put them into a cave and closed the cave over. And he started to go back to his planet, and he kind of was thinking, it's like, maybe that wasn't such a good idea. So he came back, and he came back to Vrindavan, and he's seen that Krishna was there playing with all his friends, playing with the calves down by the Yamuna. Everybody was just like nothing had happened, but Lord Brahma's like, I'm sure that all those cowherd boys and calves, they're in that cave. He's placed them in there. So Lord Brahma was bewildered. So he went to have a look in the cave, and there they were, all in their slumber. So he's like, he didn't understand what was going on. So he went back to see Krishna, and at that point, all of those forms, all of the cows, all of the cowherd boys, they transformed into full-armed Narayan form. And then Lord Brahma could understand, oh, whoops, I made a mistake here. This is Krishna. So then, he comes pays his respects and asks for forgiveness. And of course, Krishna forgives him, and everybody goes back to doing their thing in Vrindavan. So Lord Brahma is like, we can't even comprehend who he is really. And you'll find in Prabhupada's books, basically the thing he's trying to convince us of most is that how amazing and how great Krishna is compared to us. You know, we can do some great things. There's many beautiful personalities doing great things around the world. But compared to Krishna, it's not very significant. There was one famous incident back when Prabhupada was here with us in this world. One of his senior disciples was getting a little proud of his achievements. So he decided that he would show him his real position within the bigger picture, I guess you could say. So he began to explain, like, you know, Krishna, he creates not only this material world, but he's also created the spiritual world. And this material creation is only a quarter of the entire God's creation. And then within that material creation, there's millions and billions and trillions of universes. And then within each and every one of those universes, there are millions and millions and millions of planets. And then on each one of those planets, there's millions and millions of countries. And then on those countries, there are millions and, maybe not millions, but thousands of cities. And then in those cities, there's this particular suburb called Manhattan. And in the Hare Krishna temple, there is one Tamal Krishna Maharaj. He thinks he's so significant. So he was really, you know, bringing this point to that it's easy to become proud of our achievements. But to understand Krishna, it's not an easy thing. It's not a cheap thing. And, you know, the verse 1855, Prabhupada quotes in the purport there that the only way that we really can understand Krishna to some degree is by devotional service. By understanding that, you know, I may have some talents, I may have some abilities, but in respect to Krishna, not much. So with that mood, then we can begin our devotional service, because, you know, when we hear about someone, there's an attraction, you know, even in you know, celebrities, sports stars, movie stars, whatever it may be. We read all these, you know, there's so many magazines out there telling us what's going on in these people's lives. And people are infatuated by celebrities and what's going on in their lives. And, you know, one person that comes to mind is Keanu Reeves. Like, he's a very famous actor, but he's also a very nice guy. And, you know, he gives a lot of money in charity and he does a lot of good in the world. And of course, those things are all very great. But to understand the greatness of Krishna, we have to go to different sources of knowledge. And that's, of course, we start to hear from Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita. So Krishna is talking about himself. He's telling us, hey, this is me, this is who I am, this is who you are, you know. We've had a relationship eternally, but, you know, you've turned away from me, and now I want you to understand how we can reconnect again, how we can establish that relationship again. Because in our lives, our relationships, you whether it's an intimate relationship, a friendship, partnership, families, whatever it may be. There's so many different types of relationships, and they all give us a different experience or different taste or rasa or mellow. And ultimately, even if we have the best relationships in this world, at some point they're all going to come to an end, because our material bodies don't last forever. Whether it's our wife or our husband, sooner or later one of us has to go first, and then that's a painful situation for the one that's left and for the one that's left, or one that's left behind and the one that has left. So by devotional service we re-establish our eternal relationship, because we are eternal being. Krishna is the eternal being, so we can have a relationship that doesn't come to an end. It keeps on getting better all the time. So devotional service, in the Bhagavatam, it mentions that by someone who is engaged 100% in devotional service, two things arise within their being. That is, it's said it's causeless knowledge. So knowledge, as we're reading here, Lord Brahma, because of his devotional service, Lord Krishna imparts the Vedic wisdom into his heart through the super soul feature. So to the degree that we are willing to give our lives in service to Krishna, to that degree we can also receive this understanding, this wisdom in the heart. And then the other thing is we become naturally detached. It's not an artificial thing we have to try to become detached. It just naturally happens. Sometimes we understand that there's we have to give up this concept of attachment. Detachment means we have to be unattached, but that's not actually the case when we understand about devotional service, because it's merely changing our attachment from things within this material world and attaching ourselves to the activities and the understanding and the pastimes of Krishna. And with that attachment, we can keep growing in our love and devotion. And as I was saying before, like in this world, we may have not met any of these celebrities, but just by hearing about them, we develop an affection for them. So in the same way, the scriptures give us so many different pastimes, so many different activities that Krishna and his friends and his girlfriends have done. So just by hearing, we say receptively hearing, because we can hear, but are we really hearing? That's another thing. So attentive hearing has to be there, and with that, we will begin to develop this attraction to hearing about Krishna. In the beginning of spiritual life, they say, you got to chant this Hare Krishna mantra. And many will say, why do I got to chant this Hare Krishna mantra? What's it going to do? But it's also hearing the names of Krishna. Hearing about Krishna is also hearing or chanting this mantra, whether it's in kirtan or japa meditation. By chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, we are invoking Krishna through sound vibration. And through that process, we are associating with him. Hearing The pastimes of Krishna, also associating. Taking prasadam, also associating with Krishna. So all these different things we just do in our day-to-day lives, we need to deepen our thought process of, this is Krishna. I'm here with Krishna at this particular moment, doing this thing, whatever it may be. And by, again, developing this awareness, this consciousness, our attraction deepens and becomes fortified. And when things come up in our lives, we don't become doubtful or morose. It's just like, okay, here we go. This is another challenge from Krishna. How are we going to deal with this? What are we going to do? And so on. Okay, I could keep going, but I think I'll stop there. Anyone have any questions, comments, corrections?
You do ask listening a bit that idea of that. You mentioned about one can hear, but we need to be receptive. And also anything we do, we could be eating prasadam, but it could be not even receptive, or any service we do. So can you give some tips on how we can increase that receptivity when learning or in activities in relation to Krishna instead of becoming mechanical?
Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he says that our chanting can be done attentively or inattentively. And he mentions that because of our inattentive chanting, then other offenses will come because of that inattentive chanting, whatever. So the root cause of our inattentiveness is our inattentive chanting, japa. In saying that, he also said that by associating with those who are chanting attentively, who are endeavoring to be attentive in all aspects, we develop that tendency also. It's one thing. And of course, it's a process of changing our mindset, because most of us are not necessarily inclined to serve, inclined to want to do something for others. It's just how we through lifetimes and lifetimes, we've cultivated this consciousness that, what about me? I'm the sinner here. It's like, I need to be served. I need to be taken care of. But when we come to devotional service, we have to change that. So basically, we're on a spectrum or a process where we move from selfish to selfless. So of course, that's a big scale, and it doesn't happen overnight. But the more that we can remember Krishna, and like we were saying, when we take our prasadam, we need to understand that this is the mercy of Krishna, that I'm receiving prasadam for one, and that I have to honor prasadam. If we can do that, that's very good. In our day-to-day service, like for me, I'm starting to do a little work now. So I was thinking, it's like, how am I going to do this? Like, I need to make some money, but somehow I got to spiritualize it. So I was thinking, it's like, okay, this person has brought me this lounge. This is Krishna's lounge. I'm going to cover it to the best of my ability because it's Krishna's lounge. And in that way, I was actually, I was inspired more to to do a better job. Not that I wasn't trying to do a good job, but just I was more attentive in that way. So whatever we're doing, we just have to bring it back and connect it to Krishna somehow or other. It's not easy, but with practice and determination, it happens. Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Ghan Prabhu. Thank you very much for the class. In this shloka, Srila Prabhupada says before, and he refers back to the Bhagavad Gita, that we cannot fully recognize the Lord. We can recognize Him partially, and we can recognize partially the Lord through service to the Lord, or through approaching a devotee who has more in their heart. I'm very confused. Could you please help me to understand? Because that seems to be a circular definition. To know the Lord, you have to know someone who has the Lord in their heart. But if you don't know the Lord in the first place, how do you know that person has the Lord in their heart? In fact, in India, there are many branches of Hinduism who refer to the same Bhagavad Gita, but they practice spirituality very different, and they still quote the same lines. They say, well, my Lord is the Lord, your Lord is not the Lord. So help me, like, at my level, to differentiate.
So you're asking, because of that statement there, that no one can really know Krishna. How does a spiritual master know Krishna, and how is he going to give me Krishna if nobody can know Krishna? Is that correct?
Let me define it. So when a person claims that they have the Lord in their heart, or when someone says, well, you do this service, what task can I, as a person with a lot of ignorance, to conduct, to see whether this is truly Krishna, or this is just a Maya or external religion.
Okay. Good question. and there's many angles you can go at it, but generally, in your personal life, if you want to know if something is a spiritual experience or experience of something else, it's very individual, for one. It's not true that you're having a spiritual experience, but because your relationship with Krishna is individual and mine is individual, and according to where we're at as far as our development of Krishna consciousness, the experience I have of, say, a kirtan, an experience you have of the same kirtan will be different. Doesn't mean mine is right and yours is wrong, but the spiritual experience is there. But according to what is in the way within the heart, it can only manifest to a certain degree. So someone who is a pure devotee, they don't have much stuff in the way anymore. So they experience and they see Krishna in a much more profound way, through their devotional service, through their dedication, through their determination, through their love. They experience Krishna on a much higher level than us. So therefore, when someone like Srila Prabhupada is saying, we can only know Krishna to a certain degree, it's true. According to our level of, engagement, use the word surrender, or how much we're willing to approach Krishna, then he can only reciprocate with that. He says that right in the Bhagavad Gita that he can only reciprocate according to the level of that the devotee is willing to give. So he doesn't push himself on us. We have to make the first step and then he can come. Step, come, step, come, step, come. So it's like that. So someone who is fully 100% surrendered, Krishna can reveal himself 100%. And he does do that. But at the same time, in our case, he won't do that just yet. Because we're not ready for that. Like Lord Brahma here, he's in a situation where he's seeing Krishna for the first time. He's been searching for him up and down this lotus stem. He's in darkness, and it's taken such a great amount of austerities and penance and hardship in his life, and finally he's got to see Lord Vishnu face to face. So it's not a cheap thing, I guess, to put it in a simple way, to see Krishna face to face, or to experience him even in a subtle way through his energies and stuff like that. I don't even know if I'm answering your question here. I'm just talking, but experiential evidence is valid, and just like I can tell you what it's like in this little town in Mexico that I went and stayed there for 2 weeks. You may not have been there, but because I've been there, I've journeyed there, I can tell you how to get there the best way, where the best place to eat is, where the best surf is, all those kind of things, because I've been on that journey. So the great souls who can see Krishna face to face, they guide us on that journey. That's the reason, a spiritual master is there. They help us traverse the path up and down, round and round. And in so doing, we will also come to see Krishna face to face. Whether it's this life or next life, that's up to us. But it's possible, but it's not cheap. So, many other places in the Bhagavatam, Prabhupada would say, you can see Krishna face to face. But then other places he'll say, you can never know Krishna. But it's a, what do they call it? Paradox? So these things are meant to make us think and ask questions and inquire. How is this all working? It's like one statement is saying you can't know Krishna, and then another statement is saying, of course you can know Krishna, you can see him face to face, you can shake his hand. So, these apparent contradictions are there for us to try and understand and go deeper. I don't know if that helped at all, but...
Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Just in relation to Prabhu's question, I like the answer you gave that because the person went to Mexico and you can show it. So with everything, there's some degree of faith required. Someone said, I don't believe in God. Some degree of faith is required in even driving or going to university. Have some faith. You heard from others that the recommendation. So even Bhagavad Gita says that the sages, even Asita, so even though we may not have faith in Krishna, but we know that all these great persons have some faith. So we need to surrender to some degree, and also the saying that the taste in the pudding is
Proof in the pudding.
The proof in the pudding is the tasting. So try it out, because when the heart is satisfied, and only Krishna can give that full satisfaction. So try it out and then see that it's like the example where you're hungry, no one can tell you, or you're full. You just by eating, your hunger goes away. So just try based on something new.
Yes, it's a nice point. That's also, yeah, that we become the experiment in Krishna consciousness, actually. So yeah, we try it. So, try it out. I remember when I first met the devotees, it was I was doing, many things, trying this and trying that, but it always kind of was like didn't really feel right. And then when I met the devotees, well, firstly, I seen when I first seen the devotees, I said, I want what these guys have got. And then associating with them and taking prasadam and talking about Krishna, I began to feel in myself a satisfaction and contentment and peacefulness in not a very long time. And then because of that experience, then I'm like, maybe there's something to this. So that's the development of faith. So the first stage is Shraddha, faith, and then second, Sadhusanga. So we associate with the devotees and that faith develops. And then Bhajana Kriya, we start to begin the process. And then with the beginning, then we get an experience like we were saying before. We do some service, we try and follow the principles, we chant, come to kirtans here, and in that way we will get another experience. And then by this process, then we come to the next stage, which is the painful one, anatta nivritti. So that's the clearing stage, when everything that's within our hearts has to come out, has to go. So that's can be very confronting in that time, and it can last a very long time. Also, it depends on our application of the process. But, so better stop now. Everybody's clapping over there. Thank you very much. Kantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.